Hello and welcome to Polarizing Tripods. This is episode 6, and yeah, we'll be talking about Aperture. So Aperture, it's what is it? So I based we on in episode 4, yeah, blah blah blah. In episode 4, we shot an overview video on the components, and last video we explained shutter speed. Well, Marcus explained shutter speed, and so today I'll be talking to you about aperture. So just to sum it up, aperture, like I said before, is the size of the iris. The iris being the hole inside that lens. If you look through here, you'll see the lens hole, iris. Yeah. And your aperture is basically the size of it. Now, aperture is controlled in what are called f-stops, and so these f-stops, basically what they represent is they go from you find cameras that go from, you find lenses. There's an old Canon lens that goes down to 1.0, and they can go up to, I don't know, I have an F40 at home, and what it represents is basically you've got the focal length, so the amount of zoom. This is a 50mm. That the camera shooting this is an 18 to 55. You take the focal length and you divide that by the effective diameter of the iris, and so, well, as a result of that, you well, consequently, there we go, that's the word I was looking for. You get for bigger apertures, you'll get smaller numbers, and for smaller apertures, you'll get bigger numbers. In last episode, we talked about there being pros and cons for each of these components. Well, we'll talk about the pros and cons for aperture. Now, like we said in the last episode, you're always going to want to shoot at high shutter speed. So in order to do that, if you want to be able to shoot if you want to take a picture for a very short amount of time, you're gonna have to get a wide hole to allow a good amount of light to go through. But what that does, there's another
flip side.
Yeah, to aperture, which is called depth of field. You'll find it referred to as DOF. And what this
DOF.
DOF kind of sounds like the Simpsons page.
It's really technical. Yeah, it's DOF.
Anyway, so what the depth of field is, when you take a picture, your camera will usually autofocus. Otherwise, you go into manual focus and you focus yourself. But what you do is you set the camera's focusing sweet spot to a certain distance, and the depth of field is from that point forwards and backwards how much will actually be in focus.
I took this picture with my Canon lens 50mm prime f1.8, and I shot the picture at f1.8. So what that means, like we've seen earlier, it means that the lens was wide open. So what effect this had, and this demonstrates the effect of depth of field, is if you look down below at in the bottom right corner, you'll notice there is a bolt which is in focus. Now if you look to the other side of the train rail, which this is by the way, you'll notice another bolt if you look close enough. A bit higher, you'll see that the train track is detailed for a very short distance. And what happens when you come closer or go further in the distance, it goes out of focus, it blurs, if you will. This is the result of a very narrow depth of field. From the area where I focus to, there is a little amount of detail forwards and backwards. All the rest is completely blown out of proportion. You'll notice with this picture the same effect. This is a picture shot again at f1.8. It is taken of rocks or stones on the ground, if you will, and you'll notice again that only a short portion was in focus, and all the rest is out of focus, is blurred. I'll be doing a tutorial in the future on how to take shots like these. They might not be that impressive, they might not be that hard, but very often they are impressive. Alright.
So what Marcus is doing right now, I don't know if he's shooting at 1.8 or 22.
1.8.
1.8, so big, very wide for it. There is a train behind him. So yeah, shooting at 1.8 will effectively have a very wide aperture, and what this does is that it gives us a very thin depth of field. So what that means is that Marcus is focusing on this flower here. You can't really see it, but you'll see the pictures. And a thin depth of field means that only a couple of centimeters or inches forwards and backwards will be in focus, and all the rest will be blown out of focus, so will be blurred out. And well, this actually can also be considered a pro if you're taking portraits or artistic shots. However, if you're doing interior design and architecture and all that, you're going to want to take pictures where things that are in at the far distance, as well as things that are close, want to all be in focus in the picture. And when you're shooting indoors, this is kind of hard, because in order to do that, you're going to have to shoot with a small hull. And seeing as you're indoors, you don't have that much light available, so you're going to have to shoot at a very long shutter speed, which is why you're going to have to use a tripod. So if you want, because indoors you're going to always usually want a short shutter speed, and so by doing that you'll get a wide aperture, and by doing that you'll get a lot out of focus, which might not be what you want to get. Marcus is now shooting a picture of the actual camera, and you'll see how the background will be completely out of focus at 1.8 and completely in focus at 22, or the other way around as he just did it. There you go. Hope that'll let you understand Aperture a bit more. We'll go into more detail about Aperture in a future episode. For the meantime, keep on shooting, and we'll see you in the next episode, which will be on ISO sensitivity, the third component, which is quite interesting and quite important. Till then, hit that subscribe button.
And the thumbs up.
And the comments. Yeah, give us a question. Because we can answer your questions. Trust me.
Anything. Even the meaning of life.
And even why he won't cut his head.
Actually, I do mean to cut my
He does mean to cut his hair.
I mean to cut my hair, ladies and gentlemen.
That deserves a thumbs up, people. Alright.
You know it. You know it.
So we'll see you next time, ISO setting. Till then.
See ya.